Hey all, this is Val here with another Epic 7 video. In today's video, I built Roman. I really want to see what he got. I used my Gerardo briefly, um, and it was when I was in lower level. And when he got the buff, I was looking at the changes, and someone in Reddit's like, you know what? I like someone really to look at Roman after he's buffed, see what he's got. So I said, why not? Let me take a look at him. So you guys know how I do. Let's hop right into skills. Skill 1, Gravity Arrow, acquires 1 soul. Shoots gravity arrows at the enemy, decreasing combat readiness by 8% and increasing combat readiness of the caster by 8%. You can see here we do have 5 skill enhance. We can pick up an additional 2% combat readiness, bring it to 10% for both. And then we can pick up extra damage to the tune of 30%. Skill 2, Gravitation. You acquire 2 souls on use. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies with a magic circle with a 50% chance to decrease combat readiness by 15% 4 times. You can skill burn this to decrease the cooldown by 2, meaning you can use it almost the very next turn. You see here we pick up 5 skill enhances, picking up an additional 5% combat readiness, bringing it to 20% combat readiness reduction, and also picking up 30% increased damage. Next, we have Event Horizon. Acquire 2 soul, 5 turn by default cooldown. Shoots a powerful gravity spear at all enemies, dispelling all buffs and increasing combat readiness of the caster by 50%. When the enemy is buffed, damage dealt increases and the enemy is inflicted with 2 poison effects for 2 turns, before increasing the caster's combat readiness by an additional 30%. Now you'll see here you can enhance it 5 times. You can pick up a 1-turn cooldown, bringing it down to 4 turns, and you can pick up additional damage to the tune of 45% additional damage. So all in all, the changes here was in his Event Horizon and it was in Gravitation. Basically now it procs 4 times, and here we get additional combat readiness. You take a look at his SSS, its defense, it's decent. You know, you'll have them typically for arena, and you know, it works out. We'll talk more about these abilities when I go over where to use, but for now, know that skill 2 and skill 3 were the ones that were buffed. Now let's take a look at his stats. So basically, Roman, crazy easy to build, super straightforward. As much speed as you can slap on him, as much effectiveness, end of story. That's really it. You're going to be using him in arena, and his whole job is to strip and then push them back to give your team a chance to move. That's it. He has no other job, no other purpose in life. So you don't need attack, you don't need fancy health, because the whole idea of going turn 1 is to make sure there's no turn 2. So you just need him to be fast, you need him to be effective. That's really it. Ideally, you want them as fast as you can make them, and then you also want as much effectiveness as you can slap on. There's no cap. Just keep doing it until you just can't do it anymore. I guess effectiveness stops at 150, I believe. If I'm wrong about that, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. I've actually never hit the cap or never researched it, but I believe it's 150. So that could be incorrect, but again, let me know. I have no problems with being corrected. And speed, just go nuts. Just whatever you can do to get there. Alright, with stats out of the way, let's take a look at his gear. Alright, as you can see, I practiced what I preached. We went broken here just because this gave me the most speed. And then, of course, we went speed boots because you just got to, and speed set because you just got to. Again, you want to make them as fast as you can be. Now, if you actually have a whole broken set that's greater than the speed bonus from speed, obviously use it. For instance, if you got a chest piece that's, let's say it's a attack, it's got like 17, you got a neck that's got like 12, and you got a ring that's got like, 15, but then you got a 4-piece speed set bonus, but like you got like 2, 3, 4, 5, it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. Go all broken because you just need speed. You don't give a crap. It's just going with speed set with speed obviously is going to be better. So if you have a speed set with those same stats, obviously use that because you're going to get the 25 speed bonus on top of it. Again, it's speed, effectiveness. Whatever you got to do to get there, just go ahead and do it. You take a look at the artifact. I went Layla Violin. I was one of those people that did not see the beauty of this in the beginning, so I didn't farm a bunch of them. I farmed one and called it a day. That's bad on Val. But I want to make sure, you know, he strips. He does something, right? So you look at him and you think, where do you use him? And this is where it gets disappointing. This is where, unfortunately, you'll notice there was no intro video for him, because he is a PvP unit, and unfortunately he does not work in Champion. Now let me explain why. This is really going to be the meat and potatoes of this review, due to lacking a proper demo or intro for him. The problem is, at Champion and Legend, which is where I hover around in Arena, he's just not usable because of Ball. Now what happens is, Ball, every time he has skill 2 available, he gains 25% combat readiness. Now this is at max skill, and most people at this level definitely have this ability max skill. The problem with the team that relies on multiple turns like buffing, stripping, armor breaking is Ball invalidates them completely. Because let's just say in an ideal situation, you know, you win the speed race. Your Roman goes first. Your Roman goes for the strip to remove immunity, drop some poison on him. Bam, you get it. Ball has 25% combat readiness right there. You think no problem, Russ, because the proper way to use Roman is to go S3 and immediately S2, because he gets that combat readiness and because you built him fast. And I will say, in most of my testing, that's exactly what happens. S3 goes, he goes immediately after again with S2, and then you go for the combat readiness pushback. The problem is, you do all that, Ball again gets 25%. And let me tell you, all balls are fast. With 50%, you've gone 2 turns, he's already going, which means you've done no damage to lower him. He's going to do S3, which is going to, or S2, which is going to put you all to sleep and strip. The Arminthia is going to go, and then the shenanigans start all over. That's the core problem with Roman at Champion and Legend. He has no way to counter Ball. But now there's an even bigger issue. Say you do find a non-Ball team. See, Armin messes with him extremely hardcore. So let's talk about the correct order in this situation, like an ideal situation with C. Armin and Roman. So this is what happens. Your Roman gets turn 1, you go for the immunity strip, you get it, you go for your S2, you push them back. Now you have your armor breaker go, you're using the Luca, you're using Tenebria, whoever it is, they go. Now you have your Vildred or whoever you have following up for AoE, they go. But the problem is, you've got C. Armin. Now you're just going to start that process all over again, where the ML Aura is going to go, stun you, burn you. Then the Dizzy's going to go, she's going to blind you, lower your attack and slow you down. Then the C. Armin's going to go, and then it's just a bad time and you've lost. It is extremely hard to use them in Champion to Legend rank because of these units. Now, when C. Armin's nerfed, he'll likely have a place in teams like that. But then again, you still have no answer for Ball, and Ball is all over both Champion and Legend because of that 25% combat readiness. Ball's effectively punishing teams that require a combat readiness buffer like Ruzid or Shuri or Shadow Rose, simply because he just gains that 25%. So every time you go, that is what happens, right? So you say, oh, I got my turn 1. There goes my Roman. There's 25% to Ball. Up there goes my Roman again. There's 50% to Ball. Ball goes S2 and game over, right? Assuming that you don't resist, and you get stripped. So that's the problem with him in the Champion to Legend rank. It is extremely hard to use him, and unfortunately I can't go backwards to test him and say, okay, let me test him out in Master or Bronze. I believe he will do exceedingly well in those ranks, and he will work as advertised. He will give your team the ability to go first if you're lacking like a Shuri, or you're lacking a Ruzid, or you're lacking whoever it may be. Or maybe you have a Ruzid, and Ruzid gets turn 1 for you because you couldn't build your Roman fast enough, and then Ruzid gives a turn to Roman. Roman goes and decreases. Now he gives your AoE armor breaker a chance, and then your cleanup unit a chance to go, and life is good. He's very, very usable at those lower ranks in that type of situation. At higher ranks, he just doesn't have a home. Compound that by the problem, I'm really not sure how to use him in any other PvE content. Not PvP, but you look at PvE, it's a lot harder to use him there as well due to his skill set. A lot of bosses, a lot of raid units cannot have their buffs removed. Maybe he has a place in A11. I haven't actually tried him there. He could work as his skill 2 and skill 3 are AoE. So possibly if you build him damage effectiveness, he'll be good there. But that would really be his only home. And there are units that can do it better. You know, you've got like Vildred, you've got Tama, you've got Charles. You know, these are great units for A11, and I don't know if it would be worth benching one of them to put Romann in. I will be honest, I didn't test it. But knowing that they're out there just really, really devalues him in that area. Now, in Guild Wars, again, you have the same problem with, you know, the Armins, with the balls. At least in the Guild Wars I tried to use him in, he really wasn't that effective in it. Because in the end, whether it's Guild Wars or whether it's Arena, just cleave. If you can cleave, honestly, just cleave. It handles Ball, it handles Dizzy, it handles Aura. If you kill them, then you don't have to worry about stripping. If your cleave unit is strong enough and you don't need armor break, that's one less turn you have to worry about, so now you're not afraid of balls. And on top of that, if you have a ML Lots, it's even easier for you to cleave. So that is Romann's problem. And it's not necessarily a Romann problem. It's a problem for Gerardo. I would imagine it would be a problem for Basar. That's why you don't see those that much in Arena. And it's not because they're bad units. It's just the higher you go, the harder it is to utilize units like that. So that's why you kind of see, you know, Romann on the sidelines. You see Gerardo on the sidelines. Just for those reasons. He's slightly easier to use in Guild Wars, but again, you're better off just cleaving. You really are. So, you know, you bingo Ludwig one team, and then you know, ML Lots, Vildred the second team, or you ML Lots, Bloodblade Karen the second team, or whoever. It's a lot easier than trying to make Romann work depending on your level and what stage of Guild Wars you're in, and then what rank in Arena you are. All in all, the changes were good for him, but due to the current meta and how it is, I really can't recommend investing resources into him. However, if you are in lower ranks working your way up, then he will have a place, but no, there will come a point where you're going to have to retire him and start focusing more on either bruiser teams that withstand that first assault or cleave teams that deal with it. It's just because the more turns you take, higher level, the more dangerous it is going to be. Well, that's going to do it for this review. If I missed something or you guys just completely disagree and you know some better comps that will work in the Champion to Legend rank for Romann, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. As always, thank you all for watching, and all you dudes and dudettes out there, stay frosty.